Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing.
We need time out.
I just got a shower. I had to go pick up this thing that
Woo!
comes on top of your head that has that makes your hair grow back. It's for my Mrs. Ann and me, and it makes your hair thicker and all that kind of stuff. Had all kinds of driving around today, so I
I
just
don't know
barely got out
what
of the
the
shower.
hell
That's why
you're
I'm using
talking
this.
about, Hub. Let's
And this
introduce the show first, and then we'll
Go
talk.
ahead. Go ahead, babe.
this is a My Pillow. He's not
Look
a
at this.
sponsor yet, but Mike Lindell, My Pillow towel. Okay, just wanted you to know about that.
Go
I'll tell
ahead,
you more
babe.
about this. We have to use this for material. I'm giving you some inside secrets.
There you go. All right, so we got material, we got insurance, we got real estate, we got it all coming at you. The closing table, your monthly entertainment of all the amazing topics. We discuss it all, and sometimes we discuss I don't know what, but thanks to Dan Peasy and NextHome Brandywine, we're here monthly. We have our good friend Hub coming in from Texas down below. We're going to talk the top hot topics in real estate, and we also have this month as a guest David Tomlin of Goosehead Insurance. Dan, take it away.
I don't know. How do we take it away? So Dave Tomlin's nice enough to join us this month. We'll bring him in a minute. There's been a lot of questions lately about insurance. And it's funny, we booked Dave, and then all week we've been talking about different insurance things. So appreciate Dave jumping on. Dave is with Goosehead Insurance. He'll give out his information at the end. They are a broker. He can shop for you. He's very good at what he does, well learned. We'll look forward to having Dave on. Hub, he used the red light on his hair, and now he just got out of the shower and he's got a My Pillow towel. I don't know where that's going. Hub's joining us for Texas. Bay Chubby Dubby Ragney is joining us as our host as usual. For what number are we on, Bay? What number is this? 27, 28?
32, Dan. We're closing in on 3 years.
Oh my heavens. Next year. Next February, I guess we're going to have a big 3-year anniversary show.
We're going to have a party.
Yeah, we can organize that. All right. So
celebrate.
Hub, do you want to give us 1 minute of the Hubism, and then we're going to bring Dave in here? Real quick on the real estate front, it's a mess. Very busy. Interest rates went back up. Buyer demand is there. They're very discerning about what they want at this time. So we have a lot going on. NextHomeBrandywine.com. Reach out. We will walk you through everything real estate. Hub, go ahead.
Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that anytime something happens out of the ordinary, you make it be that thing part of the show. That's what you got to do. And I've given away some showbiz secrets, but this is really how it works. You just got to smile, and if you break a string in the middle of a song or you play a sour note, you just smile and act like that's what it was supposed to sound like.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Exactly. Because the audience might not know anyway, and even if they do, it might be a happy accident.
Listen, speaking of smiling, speaking of unusual things, let's bring in Dave Tomlin here and get things started.
Oh, Dave, I hope you're ready to talk, because I got questions, my friend.
I'm okay with smiling. I'm not sure why the introduction was unusual things. Let's bring in David, but I'll take it.
Listen, on this podcast, you never know what the heck you're going to get.
You got to think of it like Johnny Carson. See, Johnny Carson is sort of our mentor here. And Johnny Carson had all kinds of stuff on his show. So,
yeah,
that is true.
It's old school, but you got to learn from the forefathers. You don't want to throw them out. They weren't perfect. Okay, we know they weren't perfect. They were human, just like us. But they also had a lot of wisdom that we can learn from.
And there we go. That's a perfect segue. So insurance usually isn't like a fun topic, but it's very important right now with people looking to save money, getting the right services for the money that they're spending. And you really need a professional that knows the business and is able to kind of give you the information you need to make an educated decision on what type of insurance and what your insurance needs to look like as far as whatever service you're getting, whether it's car or home. So Dave was with us last year. Dave, thanks for coming back on, because there's been a lot of discussion around insurance. Maybe you can lead off, Dave, and just give us just a quick general overview of what you're seeing as of late in the insurance market and kind of what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so actually before I got on the call, I wanted to pull up some recent numbers. Now this is just for Goosehead, my brokerage, and the other Goosehead agents in Pennsylvania. And I wanted to focus on the 5-county area in Berks because that's where most of my clients are. But I was taking a look over the last 90 days. If you compare the last 90 days to the moving 12-month average, home insurance is up about 10% on average over that area. But if you look at auto insurance, on average, auto insurance is down about 4% for that same area.
I got questions for you.
Yeah, I got questions for you too on that.
The good news is that it looks like the auto insurance agencies are getting profitable, which means that they're going to probably start opening up some of their restrictions and, battling over new customers. I think home insurance, we still have a way to go before we see, home insurance in growth mode. I think it's more about protecting what you have and keeping those customers, but that doesn't mean you can't shop and save some money.
Hey, Dave, real quick before we delve into this, Goosehead, as far as a company, just give us an overview on Goosehead and what you guys are all about, so people that maybe don't know Goosehead can be a little bit more learned.
So we're a brokerage, which means that we have access to multiple carriers in the market. I think right now between home, auto, and life, I have 40 plus carriers in Pennsylvania. And the good news is that number is growing. Goosehead is a franchise model that started out in Texas. The people who started it had a very bad experience with insurance and said, if these people can do this, we can do it better. Our CEO his goal is to be the number one provider of insurance by premium dollars in his lifetime. So going after that $70 billion that State Farm has, on their books, getting bigger than that. But so what I do, I mean, and every Goosehead agent is different, but my thing is I want to get to know you and what concerns you about insurance. Are you price driven? Are you coverage driven? So that, we actually tailor your insurance policies to your needs, so that on that day when that horrible thing happens, the question isn't, am I covered? The conversation is just do what you do, David.
All right, Bay, I know you're chomping at the bit on this.
All right, David. I'm throwing my insurance company under the bus right now. I have Root Insurance.
Okay.
For car. Out of the blue, last month they raised my rate was $247 a month for 3 cars.
Okay.
They turned around and raised it to $325. So this past Monday, I called them. I said, "Hey, yo, why $75 did you raise my insurance a month?" They said, "Oh, well, let me look at it." And then they look and they said, "Oh, well, we have 2 reasons." I said, "Okay. The number 1 reason is because of the state that you live in. I live in Tennessee." I said, "Okay." And number 2? And they said, "Oh, number 2 is because you make late payments." I said, "Now, wait a minute. I'm on auto pay. How am I making late payments if I'm on auto pay?" They said, "I don't know." I said, "Okay. So, well, what? Why?
Yeah.
How could this be? I mean, isn't that a huge rate jump? And aren't you now? Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I always remember from the time I started driving at 16, always being told, "Oh, as you get older, your insurance is going to get cheaper because you're a more dependable driver. I got no accidents, no tickets. I'm going to be 55 years old, and my insurance is through the roof."
Yeah, I think that's what everybody was told. There's a certain point in your life where it's a generational divide, I think. But I kind of I think everybody thinks that insurance just reflects them, right? Like it's David Tomlin and what he does. But I think what insurance doesn't do a good job of explaining, and insurance agents in general don't do a good job of explaining, is that you're not in Bay's bucket. You're in a bucket with a bunch of people who look like Bay. And when we have a bad experience with those people, your rate's going to get negatively impacted by that. But if we have a good experience with those people, your rate could be positively. I think people forget that they're in a much larger bucket of insurance. So unfortunately, I don't know the Tennessee market well enough to know what's going on. I do know Root Insurance. Root isn't something, a carrier that I represent. And I think one of the biggest things that insurance companies run into is they don't have good tools or good, because unfortunately it's all customer service, it's all 800. They don't have good talk paths to explain this to anybody else. So if somebody had said, I don't get the late payment on on EFT or automatic transfer, I don't get that at all. But I can explain away, hey, we're having a bad time in Tennessee, because I'll have that data and I'll be able to explain that to you. And maybe it makes sense to you, maybe it doesn't. The other thing is that maybe in Tennessee, Root's having a harder time than other carriers controlling their expenses and controlling that. So that's why, the nice thing about a brokerage is I don't recommend shopping every time your policy renews, because one of the triggers of, or one of the levers that we pull when the algorithm figures out however your rate is how often do you shop. And I would say, as long as the carrier with doesn't crap the bed, probably 2 or 3 years is when I would say, hey, let's shop that. So I don't know how long you've been with them, but maybe it's time to have that conversation.
About 2 or 3 years. As a matter of fact, so I started calling around on after I talked to them on Monday, and then I called a couple, and they were actually in the same price range. But then, and I'll give props to, which I'm going to make the switch to Progressive, came in almost $200 cheaper a month for the same exact coverage.
Progressive has amazing underwriting, and I think it's one of the things that everybody aspires to. They were the quickest out of this mess, into profitability, and they're turning the corner a lot faster than anybody else.
Interesting.
So real quick before we go to Hub, Bay, you got something else on that topic?
I just want to ask like one general insurance question.
Yeah.
Let's face it, people are getting, whether it's home, car, life, whatever the insurance may be, you're paying for an invisible thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it, just like I just said, like I can have X plan with one company and go to another company with the same exact plan, and they could be so much cheaper? I don't understand how that works.
So it's that underwriting thing that we talked about, where it's they do a very good job of saying, if X, then Y. So like we're looking for this customer, and if that customer meets that ideal customer for us, then they're gonna get a really great rate. And we do a really good job of controlling costs, so we can keep that customer happy, because we're not gonna drive rates up on them. Now, sometimes it's an illusion, because it's a new product or a new carrier or a new state,
Right.
And so they're trying to drive business. They're trying to get people in. So they might be underpriced for the market. And then the thing, and I've told my customers that before, like, this price is too good to be true, because this is what I'm showing you. The rest of the carriers are saying, and there's this. So you and I are going to ride the lightning until they catch up with the market, and then we'll shop again. And then it's like 10% increase, 10% increase, 10% increase, 10% increase. But hey, when we started, you were 50% below the market. So you're caught up. Now let's shop again and see who's got the price you're looking for.
Okay.
Real quick, we're going to bring Hub in here, but you can see why I associate with Dave. He's very well learned. He'll do his due diligence for you. Let's get his email address in here. It's david.tomlin, just as written on the screen, at goosehead.com if you want to reach out to him. Let's get the phone number out here, Dave. His office number is 610-871-4644. That's 610-871-4644. And it's david.tomlin at goosehead.com. He's a broker. He'll shop your best rate. Everyone's trying to save some money. On top of that, as he's explaining, let's make sure you have the right insurance for you, and Dave can help you with that. All right, Hub, let's bring you in here.
Well, the most obvious question would be, what do you see has been affected insurance with Goosehead with the hurricane that just happened? That would be the most obvious question.
Great question.
See, I don't. Lucky enough, I'm in Pennsylvania, so we don't have to deal with natural disasters so much. So it's not something that that we deal with so much. And the different states are supposed to have their own. The companies are supposed to have their own pool of money for that state. What it does impact that my clients don't see is that it impacts the carrier and their ability to handle things. So, if you see on the news, Helene has destroyed a large swath of, the South, and then you're like, all upset because I try to call and make a payment and it took 25 minutes. You got to kind of, so it's having those conversations just about customer service and all that stuff. And giving people the right expectations for things for the first couple of weeks after we deal with, a major disaster in another part of the country. And when it's back to back like that, then it definitely slows everything down.
Well, normally I'm really fascinated by questions of how people do their job and what kind of skill set do you need to do that kind of job, because last time I was telling you about, there was a guy named Steve Wilson who's a broker in I think it's Louisiana, and he just started he was a medical rep and he became a salesman for Goosehead. So like what does your job entail? Because we find that interesting, the different skill sets that you need for different jobs.
Yeah, a quick little history of David Tomlin. So I started with Allstate Insurance in claims right out of college. So I was the person when you got T-boned in an intersection who, set appointments up, got your car to the shop, did all that stuff, figured out liability, made payments, all of that. Then I moved to a call center environment for a little while where I was a manager for like what we called express claims. So single car rear enders, like no real question of liability. Do we have to investigate anything? Let's just get these paid as fast as we could. Then I became an auto tech. So I would go from shop to shop and write estimates and help get your car repaired. And then I joined the marketing side where I would train agents how to sell insurance without ever having sold insurance. And so that was always kind of interesting. Like, why are you telling me what to do? And I'm like, well, and then I saw how bad agents were, and I saw how good agents were, and what that meant for the customer. And I wanted to do it. And since I knew Allstate inside and out, I bled blue, as everybody would say. I wanted to be an Allstate agent. The problem is when you have one product and times are tough for that company, it is very hard to pivot. So I switched to Goosehead where I had the brokerage model and I had the ability to sell from multiple carriers, so that when, somebody like Bay comes to me and says, hey, Progressive is saving me $200 a month. What can I do? As an Allstate agent, I would say, here's my phone number and my email, send me your cancellation notice, because nope, I'm not worth $200 a month. But now when a client comes to me and says, hey, I'm not happy, I have the ability to say, hey, this is what the market looks like right now. You're right within there, or you're right, this is way out of pattern. Let's take a look and see if there's something else that we can do. So that's kind of like, me in a nutshell. But like I said at the beginning, my primary concern is kind of getting to know you and what you're looking for. Some people, price is it. That's all they care about, and then I want to be able to, I want to have that conversation. And some people are, they are coverage conscious. I want the best of everything. I want Ritz-Carlton level service. I want all that, do that for me. And then my job is to kind of figure out where we put you and who's gonna give that to you. So that at the end, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm the most expensive person that professionally anybody probably deals with. Most people like probably pay me $3,000-$4,000 a year. Now, granted, it doesn't go right to me, but they're paying a lot of money. They should know what they're getting, and it's scary how few people actually do know what their insurance covers and how it works. That was a long answer for a short.
No, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
No,
it's like write your autobiography out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you find that though? Do you find most customers are just worried about price and that's the bottom line?
Yeah, and it's my job to kind of explain to them why that's dangerous. You know, people don't. So Pennsylvania hasn't changed its state minimum coverage since 1974.
Okay.
So in Pennsylvania, if you have 15,000 per person of bodily injury coverage, 30,000 per accident of property bodily injury coverage, 5,000 of property damage coverage, and 5,000 of medical payments, the state of Pennsylvania considers you fully insured and that you are good to go. So if I T-boned you and put you in an ambulance and one day in the hospital and I have $15,000 worth of coverage, that's gone.
Yeah.
The average new car purchase in Pennsylvania is $45,000, but 5,000 worth of coverage, that's gone, right?
So what happens after that then? Where does that money come
So,
from?
all right, so Bay, let's say that's you. You T-bone
Right.
me, you have 5,000 worth of coverage, and you just wrecked my $45,000 car.
Right.
Your insurance company will write me a check for $5,000 and go, hey, that's Bay. Get the other 40 grand from him.
Mm.
So then I get an attorney, or my insurance company gets an attorney, and we set up, we sue you and we get a judgment against you. And then, we call your employer and say, hey, we have a judgment against Bay. The state allows us to garnish X% of his wages. So I think it's in Pennsylvania, it's 25%. So you get a 25% pay cut right off the bat. You own a home, so we put a lien against your house. So if you go to sell it, we get my judgment settled first, and you get whatever equity's left over at the end. Hopefully there is equity left over and that you're still not with the judgment against you. And so once you kind of start explaining that to people, they become less price conscious, and because they're like, oh, I did not realize, because if I tell you that, hey, if I get a judgment against you, you're taking a 25% pay cut tomorrow, that's scary for a lot of people. Or, hey, that home that you've scrimped and saved and fought for 12 months to find your dream home and finally got a bid accepted, you injure me in an automobile accident, I'm going to put a lien against your house. And, if you go to sell it, I get all that money.
Interesting.
So what I wanted to ask is,
Hub's face says it all.
I love him. I love the guy. He's fascinated.
It's a very serious,
Well, yeah, it's the whole thing of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Same with real estate, right?
Our competitors have done a very good job of telling you it's quick, easy, and cheap. That's all that matters, right? 15 minutes will save you 15%, and so I could probably do a discovery call with you in 15 minutes, but am I going to make sure you're protected? Hey, you have $3 or $4 million worth of assets, do we have the insurance that puts an umbrella over that to protect that? Or did I sell you $25.50 because I wanted to beat your carrier's price and not explain to you why that's dangerous?
So here's what I want to talk about. My big question is, over COVID, and we kind of know the reason why the rates were down, right? Because not as many cars on the road. Your insurance companies were giving you a reduction in your insurance and your car insurance. And then I'm with State Farm probably for the last 5 years. I was with Erie before that. So now I'm noticing, I did swap out one car, Tacoma for Tacoma, but a newer model. I'm noticing an increase. It's like Bayes, and I have an 800 credit score. I know they look at all this stuff.
Yep.
A significant increase in my insurance. It went up. My wife doesn't pay attention as much as she should. God love her. It went up about $50 a month, right?
Yep.
Not a whole lot, but a decent increase. You spoke about this, but is it because of the buckets? I mean, here, guy, I'm 52 years old.
Yeah.
Thank God, no accidents. The wife has no accidents. We both have over 800 credit scores. Why is my insurance going up? I mean, and I get the homeowner's bit because the car, I get the shtick with it. But from the car perspective, I'm going to reach out to you and say, re-rate this. It's been 5 years. Take a look at this. Let's see if what we can do here.
So, all right. So we talked about COVID, and that's kind of where the first domino fell, right? Like nobody was driving their cars. So the insurance companies were like, oh, we need goodwill. We're going to give everybody their money back because they're not driving. Well, guess what? People were still driving and the roads were empty and they drove like lunatics. Maniacs. And so the claims that we did have were significantly more severe than they used to be. And so it's like, wow, okay, so we didn't expect that price increase. That sucked, but we'll weather the storm. Well, the other thing is how much more expensive it is to repair a car now, because there's all these bells, whistles, features, and everything in the car, and they're supposed to make us safer. But when you drive like a lunatic and you overdrive your safety feature and you wreck that car, the cost of repair is going to go up significant. So I don't have a car payment, so I'm going to drive this car for as long as I can. So my one car is a 2007, my other is a 2008. So that just tells you kind of who I am. But so my wife drives a 2008 Toyota Camry. If my wife hit somebody with that car and needed to get a bumper repaired and a grill replaced, it'd be like $400 or $500 because there's not really much anything to it. A new Toyota Camry, that grill has radar guided cruise control in it. So that $95 grill is now a $1,300 grill that then needs to be painted, that then needs to be calibrated. So that same car, instead of having a $500 accident, has a $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 accident. God forbid the airbags go off, right? So now just cost of repairs are expensive. Then back to COVID, supply chains are all screwed up. So cars are sitting longer. So it was just this snowball that kept rolling and they could not get ahead of it. So I think we've kind of figured that out. We've got that balance. Like I said, looking at our trailing 90 days versus trailing 12 months, auto insurance is coming down on our average. So that's a good sign. And hopefully that will continue. But we got to figure out what the new normal is, and hopefully we're there now, and hopefully we'll see a growth cycle again. And the growth cycle for the insurance company means better rates for the customers.
But that's why the home mechanics like the older cars. And a lot of the mechanics I know like the ones from around 95, 94. And they fix them up and they trick them out and make them hot rodded and everything. So because they can get the parts and they don't have that much computerized stuff that needs to be calibrated.
Oh yeah. Well, and think about we've got things like Teslas and the new Cybertruck where Geico is like, yep, we're not insuring Cybertrucks anymore. This is too much. We won't even insure as a company,
Really?
we're not going to insure that thing
It
because
could be,
it's too much.
Why?
So the light that turns on to show your rear license plate, it could be like $1,000 or $5,000 fix because it has to be put in properly with the whole computer system.
Think about something as simple as a windshield. Now that you have it's not just putting in glass anymore. You've got rain sensors, you've got distance sensors, you've got heads up displays. So what my 1984 Dodge Caravan that I was driving in high school and I chipped the windshield and my dad made me pay for it. It was $175. I have customers who have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bills to replace the windshield because of all that.
So
and back to the Cybertruck, that giant
too.
piece of the giant piece of glass that I thought I may have the number wrong, but I think it was like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to replace a Cybertruck windshield.
And on YouTube, Uncle Tony's Garage, he says that mechanics can figure out how to fix anything, and these really creative mechanics are really going to have a golden age of rigging this stuff to make it work for a whole lower price.
Well, let's talk about margins real quick on this stuff, because everyone thinks the insurance companies are charging more money and therefore making more margin because they're gouging the consumer, right?
Yeah.
That, from this conversation, that's not necessarily true, because the cost of repairs are going up so much because of the technology in the product. So as far as insurance companies go, they really aren't making, and correct me, maybe I'm wrong, a lot more margin, maybe less margin, because there's a balance between how much you can charge and what the cost of these repairs are.
Right. And they're legally obligated to maintain certain reserves, because basically if Helene comes through, they are required to have the reserves to cover those losses. So a lot of the profit sits in investment funds to be able to take care of those things. Insurance companies look at the loss ratio. So it's for every dollar that we take in, how much do we pay in claims, property for our claim centers, employees, all that stuff. So if they're making 5, 6, 7 cents on the dollar, they're thinking they're having a great year, And so when you'll see sometimes insurance companies saying that, they're at $1.10, $1.15 for their loss ratio. That means for every dollar that they take in, they're paying out $1.15. So they're losing money on every policy.
Wow.
Until they get caught up. And it also depends on what your state is, right? Like some states are what they call file and use. You tell the insurance company this, you tell the state insurance department this is the new rate, and then good, go for it. Some you have to prove it to the Department of Insurance, and you have to get it approved. And you're however many months that process takes, you're 12, 13, 14, 15 months now of losing money. And so you're going back to the Department for Insurance again next year because we never caught up from that. I think if insurance works, it's got to kind of hurt for everybody. It's got to hurt just a little bit. The cool thing is, and I say cool, because departments of insurance for different states all have different rules, you can kind of see when it's really consumer centric, like California, how bad it goes, and when it's really business centric, like Florida, how bad it goes. So if you want it to work, it's got to hurt a little bit for everybody. And then that's the only way insurance works.
Why, and this, as far as I know, as far as I remember, this was not always the case, but you see it more and more, and Dan actually mentioned it too. Why does credit score come into play now on your insurance price?
So again, to be able to do stuff like this, you got to prove it to the Department of Insurance, right? Like to be able to use this. So that's one thing that comes in. So what they've done is they've got all this data that shows if you have bad credit, you're more likely to file claims because you don't have the money to take care of it yourself. So let's say you have a $500 deductible and you are living paycheck to paycheck, and your $650 claim comes in. Even though it's going to cost you $500, that extra $150 is beneficial to you. So you're going to file a claim. Now, if you go to the shop and it's a $750 claim and you've got $10,000 in your savings account, your rainy day fund, and an 820 credit score, you're gonna go like, I don't want to get my insurance involved, just take care of it and be done with it. So that's kind of what it is. It's your propensity to have claims. How are you going to have claims? And the data shows that, yeah, unfortunately, when you can afford it, you're going to file that claim. And that all circles back to the conversation we have as the homeowner. I've had many conversations where it's like, can you get it cheaper? Yeah. The more you self-insure for, the better your rate is going to be. But you're buying a house. I know you're cash poor. If you move into that house tomorrow and turn on the water and the house wasn't properly winterized and you blow out all your pipes in your walls, are you going to be able to afford that $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 deductible? Probably not. So let's keep it at $1,000 so that God forbid something does happen, you're okay. And that is a real world example for a former client.
Right.
So real quick, Hub. So you see when we deal with vendor partners, right? So I vet people very heavily that I will, refer clients to, from title to mortgage to insurance to inspectors. And you see why, and I really, it's time consuming to vet these people and understand, but you see why I like David so much is because he's very well learned and he's going to be an asset to you, right? So he's going to bring information that's going to be valuable to you. You might not think so at the moment, but you can hear in our conversations what he brings to the table. So when you deal with NextHome Brandywine and my team, I pride myself in associating with quality people that are learned, and they will go to bat and dig for you and be an advocate for you and a partner with you. And you really want that. I did a lot of the vetting for you. As you can see, I have Dave on. I'm not sure if your insurance people are giving you the service level that Dave would give you. You could just hear in the conversation tonight. That's why we bring him on. And as a business partner, referral partner of ours, you see why and we don't get a kickback, right? There's no money transferred. I say, I vetted the guy. He's a good guy. If you don't have somebody, it's worth a phone call. That's why you come to professionals like me to help you. If you need that handyman, if you need the great title company, you need an insurance referral. And we appreciate Dave coming on because it's very informative. Like Hub says, and we just learned something, right, on this 35 minutes that we've had him on. Go ahead, Hub.
Well, what I was wondering is, like, when you went over your biography, when you were teaching people to be agents and you were training agents, was that a good skill set that you learned a lot from teaching them?
Yeah, it's the live by price, die by price thing, right? So, and that's where I learned that you can't. You gotta differentiate yourself. Like, I would rather, and back when I was an Allstate agent, I would rather, that State Farm customer come to me and say, "Hey, I'm not happy with State Farm," and go, "Well, here's all the reasons that you're underinsured, you're underprotected," and they would go, "I love that, thank you, I understand." And then they go back to their State Farm agent, and their State Farm agent matches my coverage, and the price is lower. Like, that used to hurt. That used to drive me up the wall. But at the end of the day, that consumer is better taken care of, and that's what I do. Like, I always think about like Miracle on 34th Street, and now that I'm looking a lot more like Santa, it feels even better. Where Miracle, he would be like, "Oh, it's your daughter wants this toy, it's cheaper down the street at Gimbel's or whatever, or Macy's." And like, I get that. Like, at the end of the day, like, I make people smarter, I make people better, and maybe it wasn't me, but they're taken care of at the end of the day.
But you were a trainer at one time of
Yeah.
other insurance agents. How did you like that job? Did you learn a lot from that job? Was that very
Yeah.
educational for you?
Yeah, it was seeing how how the sausage was made. The problem is I had a young one at home, and I traveled 26 weeks out of the year. When the home office hotel front desk people know you by name, and you have a 3-year-old at home, you realize I've made bad choices. And then my 3-year-old one time was like, "I'm tired of saying goodbye to daddy." And the entire week I was gone, would not get on the phone with me, would not FaceTime with me, would not do any of that stuff. And I came home and I said to my wife, "I know you are not happy with the idea of me being an insurance agent. It is a tremendous risk to be an entrepreneur and start my own business, but I am never going to feel that way again. I am going to put my head on my own pillow every day." And then the funny thing is, when he was like 5 or 6 years old, he's like, "You're never home." And I was like, "Well, I am. I'm home after you go to bed because I'm working so damn hard." But it was a much different conversation, a much different feeling, and I took the leap and learned a lot from it.
Well, I
Hey, what
found
we
that
got? Go ahead, Cub.
37 minutes. I found that when you're trying to motivate people, train them to be better, it's quite a challenge to influence them so that they can become better as agents.
It is, and it's the whole thing of you haven't done this, so why are you teaching me, of all people? Well, look, you're 65 years old. You still have your photo from when you graduate, your senior high school photo as your agency photo. You haven't been on social media in ever. You still pay for Yellow Page ads. Like
Do people still do that?
There was a while when I started where Allstate would pay for the Yellow Page ads, and they would fight over their placement. And it was like, you got to understand the world is different. Like, I had agents who actually started in Sears. Like, they were, when Allstate was a subsidiary of Sears, they started in Sears, and you would come to Sears, you would buy your Blazer, and then you would go buy car insurance. And the hardest part about finding a customer was how fast could you write on paper.
Wow.
They worked, but that was because it was Allstate, it was State Farm, it was like 3 or 4 different companies. They thought the internet was a fad. I'm like, it's 2003. It's not a fad. We it's here to stay.
Yeah.
You've got to do something different, and reluctantly dragging people along into a different way of doing things. And
well, it's hard to believe too that was 20 years ago that you're talking about, 2003.
Yeah. It is very scary how old I got, how quickly I got old.
I got 3 questions.
Oh my God. He haven't had 3 questions in 3 podcasts.
2 are pretty quick, but one might be a little longer. Number 1, do you have connections in Tennessee?
I do.
Okay, we're going to talk.
Yeah.
Number 2, I forget my freaking question, so I'll skip to number 3.
How about number 3?
Oh, no, I number 2. Number 2, when people come to you for insurance, what is the main one they're looking for? Is it auto, home?
So the Goosehead model is about networking with realtors and loan officers because their ideal clients and our ideal clients are kind of matched. They're people with good credit who are buying their house, maybe their first house, which is good for me because they don't have any bad habits yet. And so it's being able to educate them. And that's, as much as Dan vets me, I bet Dan, it's, are you educating your customers?
The fact that Dan passed the test, hey.
And he's got the passion, like, just like I do. Like, I want my customers to know everything about buying, the home. I want to know they're doing what's right for them, and passing off to a mortgage professional who's not going to just try to get you in a mortgage because I need to hit my number. It's, this is a house that you can actually afford, and we're going to have those conversations. So I like that, there's a triangle of 3 professionals who are just not only referring each other, but protecting each other, because it's like, well, hey, my neighbor says so-and-so did this on the mortgage rate. And it's like, well, whichever professional Dan is using who referred me, it's like, they're doing the best for you. They've got your best interest at heart, and all that. So it's nice having a team for that.
And last question. A huge thing in the world today is people doing gig work. Your DoorDashes, your Ubers, your Lyfts, and stuff like that.
Great question.
What if, and I'm sure, let's face it, I bet more than 60-70% of those people do not tell their insurance company they're doing that. What happens if they're doing that? And they get, God forbid, they get in an accident or something.
So when you're just driving around, minding your own business, as no problem. When you actually have the client in the car or the food in the car or whatever, that insurance policy for that service, whatever you're using, kicks in. The gray area is, I'm on my way to pick up a client. I'm on my way to go pick up groceries from Target. That's where the gray area is. And if they find out, they can deny the coverage. The good news is a lot of carriers realize what's going on and offer the coverage that bridges, like, while you're driving around, we got you. While you're doing DoorDash got you. Now there's carriers who add on an endorsement that says, while you're in between and the app is on, pay a little bit extra, but we got you.
What's that cost look like, Dave? Any just in general terms, what's that cost look like?
It depends on the carrier and the car. There's so many factors, and but it compared to, hey, I just wrecked my car and this other guy's car, and my insurance company ain't going to pay for it because I was on my way to pick up a Uber ride. It's cheap.
What an answer.
So is Goosehead, is that headquartered in Houston?
DFW.
Or is it in Dallas-Fort Worth?
Dallas-Fort Worth, yeah.
Yeah. Hub's going to be at their corporate headquarters.
Yeah, he's going to have a part-time job. So I'm going to do some real estate at the end here. So we're going to wrap up with Dave. Appreciate 45 minutes of his time.
Actually, before you go, I want to, this is my thing that I wanted to kind of get to you, because it's becoming an issue on my side to help you out. As your customers or your viewers are thinking about selling their home, you need to take an honest look at your roof. And
yes, this is great. This is fantastic. This has been a major issue lately, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Dave. Very good.
Multiple carriers have now, and again, it's Pennsylvania, and so if you live in Tornado Alley like Hub does, and maybe even Tennessee Bay, you might deal with this more. The age that they're kind of putting the limit on is going to change. But in Pennsylvania, where you're told your roof lasts 30 years, we're getting 15 and 20 year, and we're not interested. We don't want you as a new customer. Now, if you are an existing customer and the roof is, we'll keep you, but we might have conversations about it. There are carriers now that, as you go to, fill out the forms online to do the home, they will show you a satellite picture of your roof. They will show you how much tree coverage it has. They will give you a score based on the condition of your roof, and they'll go, yeah, even though it's only 12 years old, we're not interested because we can see all the moss
Let
growing
me
on it. So if you're thinking about selling your home or you're thinking about buying your home, you need to have honest conversations about roofs, about, hey, this roof needs to be replaced before I sell, or this roof needs to be replaced before I take ownership, or there needs to be a conversation about replacing the roof as soon as we take ownership, so that as the insurance agent can say, roof's been replaced, roof is going to be replaced, please insure these people with, the cost of a new roof.
All right, I got a question along those lines. So we're selling a house and the roof is end of life. It's about 25 years old. It's pretty much past end of life.
Yeah.
I warned the buyer up front to make sure that he could get insurance coverage. He called his insurance company. I'm not sure who it was. I have a couple in my head, but I won't mention it. And they told him that they wouldn't do a predetermination like you mentioned, that most likely within 3 months of ownership that he would have to replace the roof. Can you speak to, I'm trying to give people the information up front, but we're getting, I'm not too learned on it because I know they're not going to insure these older roofs.
So, there are different levels of sophistication with every insurance company. Some will buy up every data point they can on homes, and they will make determinations. And as soon as the policy's bound, that policy's bound. There's nothing coming. There are some that will, show the photos and go, hey, we need to talk to an underwriter, and we'll make a decision. And then there are the others where you bind that policy, you move into that home, you've got a good price on your coverage. And then within that 90-day time frame, they come knock on the door and I'm XYZ insurance company. I'm just going to be taking a look around the outside. They'll put that ladder up on your side and they'll climb up on that roof and they'll go, hell no. And there's no snowball chance in hell that we're insuring this house. And then you'll get a letter that says you have 45 days or whatever, 45, 90 days to find new coverage. And now you've got your insurance agent who has to answer the question, has this insurance ever been non-renewed or declined? And the answer is yes. And that makes it even harder to find insurance.
So here's the thing. We've been seeing a lot of this. There's a ton of deferred maintenance on houses, and the roof is a major player in this. My neighbor, they don't want to spend the money for a new roof. And this is going to cost, like Dave said about being learned, this is going to cost you potentially if you're not educated on the roof issue. One more thing, Dave, touch on before you go. I've had issues where people had too many claims on their homeowners. And when they were kind of what they were considered blacklisted, when someone tried to buy the house, they couldn't get insurance on it because that person had said 2 to 3 claims already against the property. Can we speak to that quickly? This is great information for folks buying or selling.
So again, this is all that underwriting sophistication. Some carriers take a look at it and go, I only care about David Tomlin. What's David Tomlin's experience been? Because however David Tomlin maintains his home is probably how he's going to maintain his home moving forward. Some insurance carriers say, I care about David Tomlin and I care about Dan Peasy and the house that David is buying from Dan Peasy. If Dan's had 3 or 4 claims, the likelihood that there's going to be more claims in the house is higher. So I'm going to rate that and price accordingly. So you've got, again, that's why you can never just say, take the first deal. Second opinion always helps, because that carrier may be the one who says, absolutely, I care about prior claims at the house, while there's 3 carriers right down who say, I don't care about that house at all. I care about the guy that's buying it, and you get a much better price. So, and the insurance agent being able to say, hey, customer, you need to talk to your realtor because let's make sure these 3 claims were disclosed. And as we're doing the inspection, making sure they were properly taken care of.
So again, they want to know why people get paid the big bucks in real estate and insurance and stuff. When you become learned and you're able to
you get paid?
To your client, that's amazing. It doesn't feel that way.
I've been doing this for free. Oh man, I gotta talk to the franchise.
I'm telling you. So go ahead.
It's amazing. It's amazing the topics that we talked about, the neat topics and interesting topics that we got to talk about this time that we didn't last time.
Yeah.
And you think insurance is boring, right? How much do we all learn? Just tub me, you and Bay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot.
Right. So you do. And again, you're learning every day. And if you partner with good quality people, like I try to do, it's an asset for everybody. So because we're trying to protect everybody's interest to make sure that you're learned on everything. And Dave was nice enough to jump on and lend his insights in a very professional manner, like he always is. And
Hey, Dan,
again,
I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, so I won't name names. But there was a recent referral that you sent me, where we cut his insurance premium by $3,000 a year, and I just want to know what gift he got you for referring me.
I'm just thinking, who the hell was it? I'm just thinking, I just said to the guy, listen, here's why. Here's what I like. I like the brokerage part of it. You're doing people a legwork and a service that they don't
Yeah.
have to do themselves because you're shopping and you have the knowledge of maybe taking a look and when you understand that person, where should I shop this to get them the best rate? So you're an asset, man. I mean, and you're doing the people a service. Maybe it doesn't work out, but I said, in fact, we got to talk about that I have so much going on. We have to talk about it off the record. But I said, listen, call Dave Tomlin and let him shop it because you're just paying too much money for your insurance. I mean, I'm sure David can at least give you information that'll help you make a better decision on,
but almost
your insurance coverage versus rate.
Almost $300 a month he was getting ripped off for. So,
Wow.
I mean, and it's, like,
oh,
yeah, now you remember. Yeah. So, I mean,
he told me how much he was paying. I go, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
you got to get Dave Tomlin on the phone.
I mean that, and his agent just told him, "Oh, that's the best I can do." Well, then the agent should have told him go shop somewhere else.
But they don't shop,
and they're not going to do it because that's money out of their pocket. And at the end of the day, I'll just talk to the next person. I'm in sales. Just tell me no fast so I can get on to the next. Yes, let's go. But
you're providing a service, Dave, that other people aren't going to do because you care a little bit more. You're very learned in your profession, and it's a value add. It's an asset for people, and hopefully people watch the podcast. They say, I have an insurance guy on. This is why we're having this insurance guy on because of his level of know-how. That's the same way I feel about myself. I learned under Dave Stinson, as I say every day, 65 years in the business. I just helped one of Ed's clients out, my broker, his agent, because somebody was trying to tell them something that wasn't factual. And they know to call Dan because I can cite every line and verse in the agreement of sale. The more learned you are, there's so many mortgage brokers and real estate agents. Why not use a good one? Why not use a real true professional to help you? Because you can hire, like with real estate, there's 42,000 agents. There's just as many insurance agents. Get good people. And that's why I'm happy to surround myself with a vetted team. I'll tell you real quick, someone just came to me. I used my title company for 15 years, Aaron Abstract. I just did a settlement with someone else, title company. He said, we'd like to have you use us. I said, not for nothing. I don't even know who the hell you are. I've been working with this company for 15 years. I vet the heck out of people. There's a strong relationship there with the team that we use, and that's a value-added service to our clients. And that's why I love Dave and just his overall demeanor, his professionalism, his knowledge. And again, he doesn't get paid for coming on the podcast, and we all appreciate his time. Hopefully you guys send him some business. His email address is on there. Look him up. Email him. I'll give you some great information about your insurance. Dave, you're my man, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, have a great night.
You too,
hopefully
Dave.
we can increase some business your way. I'll talk to you soon, Dave.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
See you, buddy.
All right. You dropping me off or am I leaving?
Yeah, he's going to drop you off. Isn't he really good, though? He's a very smart guy, and he's got a great demeanor, and he's not afraid for you to say no to him. But the guy I referred him was paying $900 a month. Right?
Oh, my Lord.
He was driving to New York. He's paying $900 a month, and he just saved them $3,600 a year by letting him shop there. What did it cost you by letting him shop it for you? He's a broker. Let him shop it. You're too lazy to call the guy up and have a 20-minute conversation with the guy to see what he can do to give you the best rate and the best coverage for you, what you need. And, he's good. I came across him. They started calling all the realtors over COVID, and I came across him, and he came and talked to me, and I'm a bastard. I hate everybody equally. So I hate them all, but I do. And they call me and I bark at them. Somebody just did it to me, and my wife said, you deserve that because you do that to everybody else. But
that's hysterical.
The guy is damn good, and I like him as a person, and I like the way he talks and acts, and he's just a really good guy. Couple things on the real estate front. We're in full swing with the Reading Royals. We gave away 10 tickets for opening night this coming Saturday.
Nice.
The Reading Royals are now going to be, I think it's 13 or 16 games on the Flyers streaming channel 24/7. So you're going to get, when the Flyers and the Phantoms aren't playing, Eric Jessberger, who we had on the program, he is going to be on the Royals broadcast on the Flyers 24/7 channel. So it's big news for the Royals. And they're getting a lot of focus on their organization. Is Danny Briere, the Flyers, used to be an ECHL general manager. So they're sending guys down from the Phantoms to the Royals. They're 3-0. It's going to be a fun season up there. We're in full swing with our marketing and advertising in Berks County. Another mention on Berks County, as we want your business in Berks and Lancaster County. I'm talking to the Reading Rebels, which is a independent league basketball team that me and Danny follow. And we're going to be they start in March. Antonio, I talked to him today. We're going to be doing some advertising and marketing with the Reading Rebels basketball team. They play at Alvernia University. So we just renewed our partnership, as Bay has at the bottom, with the Lancaster Stormers. We also renewed our partnership with the Reading Phillies. What's that mean? It means free tickets from Dan. And if you go to any of those games and you need a real estate agent and you're involved with those organizations, come to NextHome Brandywine. Just like Dave Tomlin, we're really busting our rear ends to give you the best possible service in this current climate. It's kind of topsy-turvy. Interest rates up and down, limited availability on inventory. I always think to myself, if I didn't have my level of experience, and like Hub knows, when in the musician side, it takes years and years of cumulative learning to get to a certain point. Lisa, Evelyn, and I, and Bill, I think we closed or have under contract about 11 or 12 deals in the last 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
So we're hammering it. I mean, and you're talking about a limited number of people in a small environment with great partners that are really, really trying. And we are up against it with big companies trying to take our business. Don't let them take away mom and pop shops, small business, right? From every level, from the government on down, trying to squeeze out small businesses. We will outwork everybody, and we will earn your business, just like Dave Tomlin with Goosehead. We work in 24/7 literally right now with our small team, and there is a difference. You don't know the name, like Dave said, vet the people, look them up, look at the reviews, see what we're doing in the community as our branded partnerships, what we're doing when we deal with our clients. We can help you get to where you need to be at NextHome Brandywine. So, I appreciate you guys every month joining this thing. And I love Dave. I mean, which is our insurance guy. He was just phenomenal this month.
Yeah, yeah.
And when are we getting T-shirts that say "Learn It" on them?
You know what? I'm going to get them done. Danny's going to design them, and I'm going to ship them out. You can guarantee it. Hub, I'll get Danny to design them. Danny got accepted to Millersville University. It's his first acceptance for college, so that's exciting for us.
Congrats.
And then he's waiting at the beginning of November, probably next month. He's waiting on that LaSalle Explorer letter. They're supposed to come out in November. So, on a personal level, some exciting things.
Is he a senior this year?
He is. And that means you need to buy houses, because that college is going to cost me a ton. So he wants to be part of the Big Five and LaSalle Explorers. He's down in LaSalle and Millersville.
Let's ask a personal question real quick before Dan kicks us off the air. What's going to happen when that kid goes off to college? Who's going to be your partner in crime?
There's my dog. As Hub's playing with the cat, Jess and my sidekick. So I never went. I wanted to go to Syracuse. My mother, love your mommy, talked me out of it. I am so happy for the kid. I want him to do what my wife went. I went to community college. I have an associate's degree. I have my real estate license. I went to Cabrini. I unfortunately didn't finish. And I have my associates. Like I said, I have my real estate license. My wife went to Bloomsburg. I just want him to do, imagine being able to go to Big Five school and go to all those great games, with LaSalle and St. Joe's and Villanova and Temple. So I'll be down there with, and, he's down to 2 schools. He really wants to go to LaSalle. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I just, this is our last year of making hay. So we need to sell some houses. We have a lot of shenanigans planned for me and him this year. We're going to season tickets to the Royals. We're on the club level this year. We're going to be doing some stuff with the Reading Rebels, and, he's on the play at school, doing really well there.
Right.
He's building the set, which he never did before. He says, I'm using the drill. I'm like, you never use a drill at home. You're using a drill at the school set, doing all these great things.
He
And
better watch. You might put him to work at some of these houses.
I'm telling you, he wants to be the manager of the basketball team this year. So listen, this is why we do this. This is why I'm on, what am I on right now? 13 hours into the day. You know, it's about the family. It's about the relationships, as everybody knows. And we need you to buy houses for NextHome Brandywine. I got to put a kid through college. So
Yeah, but it looks like you have sold some lately.
We have.
Some houses.
We're working, Hub. Hub, nothing, and you know this, and I tell the young kids this. Effort, persistence, practice. If you keep doing this and sowing the seeds properly, it bears fruit. And we and it's frustrating. I mean, on a lot of levels, we were slow all summer. And my mom has to hear me bitch, and my wife, and I said, I'm pounding the pavement but we constantly stay consistent. We do the podcast every month to create a new audience. We do our social media marketing. I'm out at events all the time. We're building relationships and trust. And I was just talking to a newer kid, Nico, that's on my friend Ed's team. I said, look, it's going to take you time to build your personal brand and get people to trust you and grow your business unit. It is very challenging. We talked about the money's tight. People don't have the money to get into houses. How do you get creative to get them in with limited inventory? There's so many factors right now that are going on in this business. It's out of control, and it's draining for the realtors, for the branded partners, for the buyers, the sellers. It's tough right now. So, you know, we are doing well. It's never good enough when you're a salesperson, but Lisa Last, she's crushing it right now. I think she did 4 deals in the last 3 weeks. Wow. Nonstop. And she cleans on top of that with her own cleaning business, nonstop hustle. So we're really, hopefully I don't want to get pushed out and have to go to work for a Berkshire. And that's what keeps us churning. No disrespect, but big conglomerate companies such as a Berkshire. Yeah. We are going to try to make this work. Our renewal's coming up in June. We have every thought of renewing for another 5 years with the NextHome team. So, you got to keep us going, or else you're going to all be paying. I heard that Berkshire's conveyancing fee is now up to $950. That's on top of commissions, and we charge $450. They're up to $950. So if you want to get nickeled and dimed to death with big programs that don't per se give you personal service, you got to keep us small mom and pops in business, and the small businesses are the backbone of this country. Make sure everybody votes, please, on election day, no matter which way you're voting. Make your voices heard and go out there and vote. And we will be back next month for another podcast. Hub, thank you for joining, buddy. Bay, take us out of here.
You got it. Another amazing episode of The Closing Table. Thanks to David Tomlin, Goosehead Insurance. Go check them out. I will. I'm sending him an email as soon as we get off the show tonight. And Dan Peasy, NextHomeBrandywine.com. Either Dan or anybody on his team, they are killing it. They're bringing you all the learned experience that you need for all your real estate needs. And, of course, Hub, always with his kitty cat, the new freshly showered hair and screwdrivers and music and everything else you need in life.
We're going to do one segment on Hub this year, or maybe a whole show just about Hub.
We got to do a separate show, a whole Hub show.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. Absolutely. All right, everybody. See you next month. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Happy Halloween, everybody.